Now we ready for some church, huh? Oh my goodness. Christ Temple Family Church, good morning and happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. To all the mothers watching this right now, happy Mother's Day. We commend you. We love you. We appreciate all that you do for us. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in here. Happy Mother's Day. Take this time while I have the platform. Happy Mother's Day to my wife, Bree. She's back there operating the camera. She just want to really help out. And we recently just celebrated our 3rd wedding anniversary. Yeah, yes. So what admired me about my wife when we reconnected a few years ago was how determined she was to be a good mother. How determined she was. Even though she was a young mother, a single mother, she was determined to do all she needed to do to raise her daughter. You know, if you had to work 2 jobs, you had to work 2 jobs. Whatever needed to do. It reminded me a lot of my mother. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. She's in here watching her oldest son give his first Mother's Day message. I appreciate that. My mother, she did it all. Raised 2 boys, and she had to just do what she had to do. I remember she spent week after week, year after year, taking us to our baseball games, our basketball games, our football games, rehearsals, practices, games, and she used to do something you probably remember called red light naps. She'll be so tired, she'll just take a quick little nap at the red light, and I'll be in the passenger seat telling her to wake up when it turned green. I got a great memory. But what you see right now is all the hard work of my mother. But not just my mother, because it takes a village. My grandmother. Hey, Mama. She's here. May Pounds, also known as Sugar, who do not play about her grandkids. But what you see is a hard work of my mom, my grandmother, and also my great-grandmother, May Shelton. I am a byproduct of her faith, and I am blessed that I had the opportunity for 25 years of my life to experience her existence. And not just hear it through stories. You know, I was able to see my great-grandmother in action. I was able to witness the power of her love, the power of her presence, because she had a presence about her that when she walked in a room, whatever drama was going on, just stopped because she didn't play. No, so I got to witness her, witness that, witness the power of her love, the power of her presence, and most importantly, the power of her faith. Her faith. She was a God-fearing woman. And that trickled down from generations to generation through her bloodline, from my grandmother to my mother and to me. And what you see is evidence of a God-fearing mother. Because God-fearing mothers are some of the baddest women on the planet. God-fearing mothers, some of the baddest. If you're a bad woman, make some noise right now. And for those who are confused about why he called them bad, it's actually good in this sense, okay? It's just black talk. But she was a bad woman because she was a God-fearing mother. My grandmother, God-fearing mother. My mama, God-fearing mama. It's power when you're a God-fearing mother. A mother that feared God more than they fear their opposition. And when it comes to mothers of faith, when it comes to God-fearing mothers in the Bible, I can't help but talk about Moses' mother. And how Moses' mother was a God-fearing mother, and she was a bad woman. She did whatever she had to do to keep Moses alive. So I want y'all to roll with me to Exodus chapter 2. Exodus chapter 2, and I'll be pulling from the 1st through 10th verse, but I'm going to read just the first 4 verses. Exodus 2, verse 1 through 10, but I'm going to read verses 1 through 4. All right. About this time, a man and a woman from the tribe of Levi got married. The woman became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She saw that he was a special baby and kept him hidden for 3 months. But when she could no longer hide him, she got a basket made of papyrus reeds and waterproofed it with tar and pitch. She put the baby in the basket and laid it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile River. The baby's sister then stood at a distance, watching to see what would happen to him. That concludes the reading. But today's message is called When It's Time to Let Go. When it's time to let go. You know, one of my favorite memories of my mother growing up was when she left me and my brother for 8 weeks. It was for a summer. She had to go, you in South Carolina, right? South Carolina for a job, and she was gone for 8 weeks. And me and my brother, that was a fun time for us because she left us in the hands of our great-grandmother. And my great-grandmother spoiled us tremendously. Because all she did was cook. All she did was cook, sew, and watch QVC. That's all she did. Cook, sew, watch QVC. Like as a little boy playing basketball outside, football outside, and coming inside and there was plates of food waiting on us to eat. We were spoiled. We were she made hot dogs and fries look so good on a plate. Amen. That you didn't even want to eat it. It was all about the presentation of it. And it was a fun time, but it was a hard time for my mother because that was the longest she went at that time without seeing her sons. That was 8 weeks. 8 weeks. And a good mother can't imagine being so far away from their kids, and if anything happens, you're not there. But what provided her peace, what provided her comfort was knowing she left us in good hands. She left us in hands that she trusted. She left us in the hands of someone she knew would have our best interest at heart. Because one thing about mothers don't play when it comes to their kids. That's just what it is. A mother would go to war for her kids. I just think whenever I see my friends, when they nice women, but once they become mothers, they get ready to fight for their kids. It's just something about a mother that will defend their kid, chitty chitty bang bang. That's just what they do. They'll fight for their kid. They'll go to war for their kid. They will even lie for their kids. And then in private, cuss their kids out for making them lie. Like, why you let me do that to that people? You know you did that. I'm protected right now, but you know you're wrong. But she left us in good hands. A mother's love is constant, not a variable. When a mother's love at her best is a constant. To all my math nerds out there, you probably understand me, but a constant value does not change. It's a known value. We know what it is. A variable changes its value dependent on the equation. So we know, so even though mothers are humans, mothers have their ups, mothers have their down. That's a variable. But what's constant about a good mother, what's constant about a God-fearing mother is that they're going to love their children. No matter what, no matter if it's a good day or a bad day, they're going to ride for what's theirs. They're going to ride for their children. That's just a good mother. A mother's love is constant. A mother can get so involved. They're here to protect. They're here their hands are just so into their children because they love them and care for them so much. And that's their strength. We know that our mother is going to be there for us. We know that our mother is going to vouch for us, to fight for us and love for us. That's their greatest strength. But if not managed well, their greatest strength can be their greatest weakness. You can care so much, you just don't know when to let go. You can love so much, you don't know when it's time to step back. And sometimes you see your kid struggling with something, you want to fix it because a mother will start working on a solution before the problem even is a problem. They don't even know the problem all the way, but they just know, I need to fix it. I need to protect my kids. I need to protect my sons. I need to protect my daughter. You want to protect. And then when something's going crazy and you like, God, I need you to step in. God said, I want to step in, but you all over the place. Your hands are all in this right now, so just step back. Step back and let me work. That's what God is trying to say. Let go and let God. It's amazing what mothers would go through to protect their children. It's amazing. If I was stranded overseas, I'm sure my mom would find some type of way to get there. Even if she had to build an ark herself, she's coming. She coming. Oh, if my brother's somewhere stranded, she coming. If she has to walk, she's going to get there to be there for her boys. But that's the greatest strength, but it can also be your greatest weakness because you just not know when to step back and let God work. Step back and let God be God. Let go and let God. Your hands is all into the situation. And you inviting God in to handle that situation, but it's like your hands all over. It's like trying to see two people wash dishes. Like it's just too much going on. Like back up. Like let me just take care of this. And that's what God is trying to say. Back up and let me take care of this. I know. Trust me with what you started. Do you trust God enough to let go and trust Him with what you started? Yeah. You instilled beliefs in your children. You raised your children right. You raised them up the best way you could. And now it's time to step back and God saying, trust me. I got your kids. I got you. That same comfort my great-grandmother gave my mother, the same comfort God can give you. Knowing that just leave this situation in my hands and I'm going to take care of it. When it's time to let go. And in our text, Moses' mother knew it was time for her to let her baby boy go. She couldn't hide her child anymore. And she had to make a wise decision as a mother to let him go for his own protection. Because she understood something. She understood that she had a limitation. No matter how much she loved her baby boy, no matter how much she cared for him, she could not protect him if Pharaoh got a hold of him. And in order for her to protect her baby boy, she had to let him go and put it in God's hands. See, a backstory, she had Moses in the middle of a crisis. A lot of stuff was going on during that time. The number of Israelites were outnumbering the number of Egyptians. The Israelites were growing and growing and growing, and the Egyptians were getting fearful because they felt like they were going to be overtaken by the Israelites. So Pharaoh basically made a decision like, hey, we're going to kill all the baby boys. That's what we're going to do. We're going to let the daughters live, but these baby boys got to go. And this is the crazy part, though. He told the Hebrew midwives, he said, watch these Hebrew women as they give birth. Like, be there, waiting. As soon as they deliver, and it's a baby boy, kill them on sight. Kill them on sight. He told them to watch and wait for what was supposed to come out. If it was a boy, kill him. But the Hebrew midwives feared God so much they didn't listen to Pharaoh. They were God-fearing women. They were women that feared God more than they feared their boss. And the problem is, do you fear God more than you fear your opposition? Some of us can get so caught up and so afraid of our opposition that we will do things that's against what God wants us to do because we're afraid. But these midwives were not afraid. They said, hey, look. And they made a lie. They didn't do it. And when Pharaoh said, hey, how come y'all didn't kill these baby boys? Oh, well, Pharaoh, we just want you to know these Hebrew women are not like these Egyptian women. They give birth so quickly. By the time we get there, the baby born. So what you want us to do? They had a little attitude. And so, but they were lying. And God blessed them for standing up for what he believed in. But Pharaoh still like, I'm going to kill these baby boys somehow. And in the middle of all this craziness going on, Moses' mother became pregnant and had him. And she was protecting him. Hid him for 3 months. Hid him for 3 months. And then she realized she couldn't protect him any longer. Because it doesn't say, but Pharaoh could have been getting close. And she's like, in order for her to protect my son, I need to let him go. Because mothers, one thing about it, we can't protect your children from everything. Some storms are just going to happen and you can't. We are human. We have limitations. But the hardest thing as a mother is I'm seeing when I be looking and seeing my aunts, seeing my grandparents, seeing my mother, seeing my wife. One of the hardest things as a mother to watch your kids struggle with something that you can't step in with. Seeing your kids struggle with addiction. Seeing your kids struggle with grief. And there's nothing you can do. I still remember a conversation my mom had when she saw me struggling, suffering from the loss of my fiance going on 5 years. She said the hardest thing was seeing her son go through something that she couldn't do. That she couldn't do nothing about. And Moses' mother couldn't do anything. Because Pharaoh, if he found Moses, he was going to kill him. On sight. Just kill him. And the hardest thing is to see your mother, to see your child suffer from something, handle something, go through something, and there's nothing you can do about it. But I'm here to tell you, all you have to do is step back and let God be God. Let go and let God. Watch God work. When it's time to let go, trust that God already worked it out. When it's time to let go, just know that what you're doing is putting the situation into the hands of God. Trust. There will be a moment when it's time to step back and watch your kids go through something. There's nothing you can do about it, but leave it in God's hands. She got a basket of papyrus reeds and waterproofed it with tar and pitch. She put baby Moses in a basket and laid it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile River. I just love how mothers just know how to do it all. Like when push come to shove, you're going to have to make whatever you have to make to protect your children. Like she was like, okay, I'm going to make a nice basket for him that's going to be waterproof. And that's going to protect my son as I send him off in the Nile River. And I just see that that's just how mothers are. If you need to protect your kid, whatever you got to make, you're going to make it. You may not know how to make it, but you're going to figure out some way. If you have to go on YouTube and be like, okay, how do I make a basket of tar and pitch to protect my son? And send him on down the river. A river of crocodiles and snakes and all that stuff, and you like, I'm going to trust that this basket going to do what it do. Let's go out there. And she put Moses in a basket, and Moses was now floating. He's floating in the Nile River. But this is the part right here. He's floating in something that was meant to drown him. He's floating in something that was meant to drown him. Because let's go back to the story of the midwives. The midwives lied and told Pharaoh these Hebrew women give birth too quickly than the Egyptian women. And then Pharaoh said, okay, bet, since y'all can't do it, he made a decree, he made an order to all his people, throw every newborn Hebrew boy into the Nile River. So he like, okay, since the midwives can't do it, we just going to go grab these baby boys and throw them in a river for them to drown. But now we fast forward, Moses is now floating in the river that Pharaoh wanted him to drown in. The power of God. God will have you floating in situations that was meant to drown you. So if we think about it a little deeper, when all the other babies are drowning, here go Moses floating away. He's rolling in something that was meant to drown him. COVID-19 shut down a lot of business, yet your business is still floating. And if we think about it on a personal level, a lot of churches shut down last year, yet this church is still floating. And that's just the power of God. God will have you floating in situations that was meant to drown. You struggling with something that other people committed suicide with. And yet you still floating. You still floating. And let's just thank God that we still floating. We still floating. God will teach you how to float in the middle of storms, in the middle of things that were meant to kill you. And you still floating. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Pharaoh wanted Moses to drown in the Nile River, yet Moses is floating away. He's floating in something that was meant to kill him. I know, this pandemic just showed a lot of things. A lot of businesses drowned, a lot of marriages drowned, and yet your marriage still floating. And that's can't say nothing but the power of God. When God's hands is on your life, He'll have you floating. He'll have you floating away. And so when it's time to let your kids go, when it's time to step back and leave your kids in God's hands, just trust that God will have them float. Whatever you're worried about that's going to drown them, just trust that God going to have them float away. Just trust that God's protection is going to be all over them. Because the thing about it is everything she was worried about, God already worked it out. Because look at the timing of everything. The second Moses' mother put him in a basket for him to float down the Nile River, he was bringing an answer to her problem. The second he was floating down the Nile River, here go Pharaoh's daughter deciding to take a bath in the Nile River. And next thing you know, that the problem was running into an answer. Pharaoh's daughter saw Moses, heard him, saw him, and fell in love with him. Fell in love with him. Said, oh, these are one of the Hebrew boys. She could have easily told her daddy. But no, she found compassion. She loved him. Moses caught her attention. And God already worked. Look how that worked. She was worried that Pharaoh was going to kill him if Pharaoh found him. Yet God used Pharaoh's daughter to step in to save him. And God worked it out so good that when Pharaoh's daughter needed a nurse, she used the mama. So she's nursing her own child without the fear of him being killed. So now, nothing but God, nothing but God. So she was worried that in this situation, her son was going to die. Next thing you know, look how God can just flip a situation around. Next thing you know, she's nursing her own child with protection. And let's throw God as the God of extra. He threw in some money for her. She got paid to nurse her own baby. She got paid to nurse her own. If you don't believe me, you could read. You can read verse 9. She said, take this baby and nurse him for me. The princess told the baby's mother, I will pay you for your help. So the woman took her baby home and nursed him. She paid Moses' mother to nurse her own baby. And now Moses' mother have an opportunity to build a solid foundation in her baby boy's life before she sends him away to be with Pharaoh's daughter. Because it's all about that foundation. That's important. It's all about that foundation. That's crazy that God was able to set it all up. Because look, check this out. I'm pretty sure Moses' story would have been different if Pharaoh's daughter just took and left. And Moses' mother never was involved. But the fact that Moses' mother now has an opportunity doing it, I don't know how long the nursing stage is, the weaning stage, but however long that was, God used that moment for Moses' mother to instill in him his identity, his beliefs, his faith, and he knew who he was by the time he got to the Egyptian palace. He knew who he was, all because of a God-fearing mother. And that's what a good mother does. A good mother instills in their children who they are and whose they are. So by the time they go off on their own, by the time they're away, they already know, like, I know who I am. And it's the faith. That faith trickled on down. She was able to nurse her own son without fear. Those formative years are important. Because even though he was brought up and educated as an Egyptian, living in Pharaoh's palace, he still identified as Hebrew. All because of his mother. So even though he was in an Egyptian setting, he still identified as Hebrew. He was Egyptian enough to live in a palace, but he was Hebrew enough to sympathize with what his people was going through. So much that when he was on a walk one day and he saw one of the Egyptians beating one of his fellow Hebrew, he killed him. He killed him. Because that's how much he identified and was feeling the pain of his people. Even though he wasn't a slave because he was Egyptian enough to be in a palace, he was still Hebrew enough to get on that level and say, hey, you're not supposed to treat my people like that. And he killed him. He murked him. Yeah. He first looked around to see if nobody's watching and killed him. That's crazy. He killed that Egyptian. He never identified as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He refused to be known as that. And all that is because of his mother doing what she was supposed to do, doing what she needed to do during those formative years, during that nursing process, the weaning process. And I believe this never would have happened if God didn't arrange it where Moses' own mother was able to build that foundation. Because he was Egyptian enough and to live in a palace with Pharaoh, but he never identified as Pharaoh's daughter. Even though he was adopted by Pharaoh's daughter, he said, this is not my identity. I know who I am because my mother raised me. I know who I am because my mother taught me. One thing my mom always says is that me and my brother can never say we didn't know. Because good mothers, they're going to do what they need to do, raise you and teach you all you need to do. So when you go off on your own, when it's time to step back and let go, you know what's right. You know what's wrong. You know who you are. And you have the faith. But it was important for Pharaoh's daughter to adopt Moses. Because God used Moses' mother to bring Moses into the world, but God used Pharaoh's daughter to bring Moses into his destiny, to bring Moses into his purpose. Because his mother was a slave. His mother didn't have the resources for him to live in a palace. If Pharaoh saw Moses as a boy, he was going to kill him. But the fact that Pharaoh's daughter got into the picture, she was able to bring Moses into the palace. She didn't know when she was adopting Moses, she was going to adopt who Moses really was. But all that happened because of Moses' mother. Right. And I encourage every mother watching this, every mother listening to this, is to own your story. Own your story. Some women became mothers against their will from unfortunate situations. Some women became mothers off one-night stands. Some women became mothers unplanned. Some women became mothers planned. Some women became mothers through adoption. But no matter how you became a mother, own your story. Own your story. Because you can't alter, you can't change how you became a mother. But you can change how you mother. You can have that effect. So no matter how you became a mother, to all the mamas out there, I encourage you to own your story. And I encourage you to be the best mother you can be. And recognize when it's time to step back. And trust that God is going to finish whatever you started. All that work you've been doing in your kids, using the formula live, you got kids in elementary school. Because life is about transitions. Elementary school to middle school is a transition. Middle school to high school is a transition. Preteen to teen is a transition. And God knows, hitting 16 to 18 is a big transition. And so you're constantly trying to learn, constantly trying to figure out. But the thing is, it's like every transition is more of a step back. And trust that what you did when they were younger is going to have that strong effect on who they are right now. God-fearing mothers are some of the baddest women on the planet. The power of God-fearing men. If it wasn't for the midwives, Moses wouldn't have been alive. That's right. If it wasn't for them fearing God more than they feared Pharaoh. If it wasn't for Moses' mother letting him go, Moses wouldn't have been alive. And if it wasn't for Pharaoh's daughter stepping in and feeling the love of baby Moses, Moses wouldn't have been alive. God used all this. God worked this all out. All because Moses' mother knew and recognized when it was time to step back. And to all the kids out there that's struggling right now celebrating Mother's Day, because let's be honest, there's some bad mothers out here. That's right. It's bad people out here. That means it's bad mothers out here, bad daddies out here. And it's hard to celebrate Mother's Day when you feel like your mother is not worth celebrating. But I pray, I can't relate because, I was blessed enough with a family of strong women to instill beliefs in me and to raise me up that way. But I pray everyone who feel like they can't celebrate Mother's Day because they feel like their mother just don't deserve it. I pray that you somehow find peace and don't let their imperfections rob you of just appreciating the fact that they gave you life. Because that could have just been the purpose. That could have just the fact that you're alive right now. Because God used mothers to birth and give life. And I pray that whomever, because this is a hard day for people. Mother's Day is hard because some mothers have passed. I pray that you find comfort in knowing that they did the best they could. And you looking in the mirror is evidence of all the hard work that they did while they were here. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in here. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers listening right now. I love y'all. God bless you.